Okay, so we've just gone through the asanas, and we're starting on the class topic. So it's the seventh limb of Ashtanga yoga, and that is Dhyana, or absorption. So we're just going back a few components of Ashtanga yoga just to recap. So if we go back to the fourth component, or let's go back to the fifth component, which is pratyahara. So pratyahara was withdrawal. So withdrawal means that already by sitting with the legs crossed and the arms, the hands interlocked and the eyes closed, and we're not in the way of any stimulation, we're not listening for anything, we're not going to be, as far as possible, we're in a quiet place, we're not going to be disturbed. So already we've shut down some of the main organs, or some of the main outlets through which we express ourselves out there, the arms and legs. We're not on standby to get up and go anywhere. And we've closed the eyes, we're not taking in any stimulation from the eyes, we're in a quiet place, the ears are not taking in any stimulation. So that's one part of pratyahara. Then, of course, as soon as you do that, as soon as you stop the normal channels of expression, the mind has a certain habit, it has a certain rhythmic expression that it has acquired through habit over time. And so that rhythmic expression has to have something to focus on. It needs thoughts, because pulsation in the mind means thoughts. That's how the mind expresses its energy, by thinking different thoughts. So there's plenty of thoughts waiting, plenty of them on standby, just waiting to pick up the slack. So the next stage of your withdrawal, of your pratyahara, was some kind of mental visualization, some kind of mental process. So we were suggesting that you use, for that visualization, you imagine that you're sitting on top of a mountain, and just that feeling of sitting on top of a mountain is going to give your mind a sense of serenity, because when you sit on top of a mountain, you're aware of the vastness all around you. That's one point. Then also you're detached from the environment in which most of your activity takes place. So the feeling of vastness all around you, that touches something deep inside you, which feels an affinity with that vastness. So that's what we're trying to get at. We're trying to draw out that feeling of vastness, because that's part of the nature of our consciousness. Vastness, limitlessness. And so when we get that feeling of detachment from our normal busy mind activity, then the next thing we have to do is concentration. So that's the next component, which we did last week, and that is dharana. So concentration, with centration. So we have to have an object to focus on. There has to be some focal point for the mind. And because we're doing this Bhavanam Kevalam meditation, we have something to focus on. And what we have to focus on is that sense that I I'm living in the moment. I just want, in this meditation, I want to live in the moment. And so if I want to live in the moment, then I have to ask myself, what is the ultimate reality of this moment? Moment. Before I feel anything, before I think anything, before I do anything, I exist. And that existence doesn't depend on me thinking about it. I can be thinking anything, and my existence will support that. So when I sit for meditation, I want to put all of my normal thoughts aside. What are my normal thoughts? My normal thoughts are my consciousness running into familiar patterns and just running downstream with all of these familiar patterns of thoughts and feelings in a rather random way. So when I turn my mind towards the object of my meditation, I want to draw out a feeling of, behind all of that, supporting all of that normal activity of my existence. What is that? What is it like there? And so I give my mind a prompt, I give my mind a hint, and I say to myself, I'm just surrounded by unconditional love, tireless, unconditional love. That is the essence of every passing moment, because it takes a lot to generate my existence. So it must be a very powerful source of unconditional love that can sustain me every moment. And I don't need to do anything for it. It's unconditional. So meditation then is basking in my existential glory. Basking in my moment-to-moment existence. And that's all I need to do. Just like your body knows what to do when you go to the beach, your body knows you just lie down on the sand and, enjoy the sun, because your body, all of the elements that make up your body, they all come from the sun. So the sun is the home field of your body. So it's the same thing with the mind. The mind has its home field, and the home field of the mind is unconditional love. Tireless, unconditional love every single moment. So the mind also knows what to do when it approaches that which underlies its existence, that which supports its existence every moment. The mind, I should say the heart, knows what to do, because this part of your consciousness, the heart, is what knows what is behind every single moment of its existence. And that's why when we sing kirtan, we try to sing from the heart, because that is the reality, that is what the heart, the only thing that your heart knows in its the deep heart's core, is that my every moment's existence is an indulgence of pure unconditional love. So go on, Sukadev. Yeah.
So it's almost like moving away from the intellect and analyzing, what the visualization that you're explaining, and moving more towards the feeling of what that feels like.
Yeah, that's well said, because we're working behind the lines of all of our normal faculties. As I said, we've shut down the the organs of expression. We're sitting cross-legged. The hands are interlocked, eyes are closed. So we're working behind the lines of the senses, and the mind, which normally is thinking randomly one thing to another. So we want to bring the mind deeper into consciousness, not just to be processing consciousness in its normal, familiar thoughts and moods and feelings and memories. We want to go back deeper into consciousness, the very source, the nature of consciousness. And so that's why we are hinting to the mind, because we have to have some faculty, when we're moving about in the world, in our day-to-day, doing our day-to-day business. We're using faculties. We're using the faculty of sight to take in light waves. But we shut all that down. But there must be some faculty that we have at our disposal, even when we shut down everything else. And you're right to say that faculty is feeling. But we still need to use our intellect because your intellect understands to some extent what you want to do, but your intellect then has to prompt your deeper feeling, your intuition, by saying, this is what we're doing now. We're doing meditation now, and this is what meditation is. We're trying to just bask in existential glory. So how are we going to get there? We have to evoke some kind of sense of that, some feeling about that. So, in Zen, they talk about beginner mind. You have to cultivate beginner's mind. So what is beginner's mind? Beginner's mind means before you learned anything. The mind that you had before you learned anything. So you have to completely withdraw your mind to the mind of a baby. What does a baby know? The only thing a baby knows is that I exist. And the baby is just basking in that which is behind its existence, that which is causing its existence.
It's almost like wiping off all the data, that you've been programmed for years and years, isn't it? Like just shutting off the whole computer system.
Yeah, you're putting it, let's say putting it to one side, okay? Because, an Antamarga meditation doesn't say that, this whole thing is illusion, you have to completely renounce all that. An Antamarga says that it's not the ultimate reality, it's that reality that we deal with every day. It's a relative reality, it's not ultimate reality. But because it is relative, it has relative importance, we have to give it that due importance. We have to live out there. But we also have to be able to put it aside, because when we do meditation, we're going to ultimate reality, the causal reality behind it. And the causal reality behind it is pure unconditional love. That is what everything is an expression of, the same consciousness. So to get back to our topic for today was absorption, Dhyan. So the word Dhyan is probably the closest Sanskrit word to what we understand, what we mean when we say meditation. So, absorption. So last week we talked about concentration, dharana, and dharana, concentration is where you you've chosen a center for your mind, and what I'm centering my mind on is that unconditional love that accompanies every single moment, is the cause of every moment of my existence. So living in the moment. So my mind just constantly coming back to that idea. So the mind has a drifting tendency, but I'm bringing it back and using the mantra. I can keep recycling the mantra Bhavanam Kevalam to help absorb the rhythmic energy of the mind. So there's this constant iteration of the mantra, the constant centering the mind on that idea. That's concentration or dhyana. Dhyana or absorption is when you take a magnet and you stroke a needle. After a while, that needle gets magnetized. So in the same way, when you're stroking your mind with this idea, this understanding, this feeling, after a while, your mind starts to absorb that feeling, that understanding. And so your mind then catches the idea, catches the feeling, and holds it. The mind still has some pulsative tendency, but here's an analogy to explain the difference between concentration or dhyana and absorption or dhyana. Concentration is like a dripping tap. The tap drips like this, drip, drip. So each drip is discrete, independent. And so that's like the mind in the effort of concentration. You're using the mantra, or you're constantly bringing your mind, centering your mind on that feeling or that sense of that consciousness, that unconditional love. And again, it's important to remember that it's using the faculty of feeling. So bringing it to feeling. That's why I said last week that sometimes I do this as an actual exercise in the class. I say, okay, so let's take this mouth that's normally talking and expressing my thoughts, and let me bring it down, let me migrate it to my heart. Here. Let me migrate it to here. So now it's my heart's turn. So I get the class to say, as they're migrating their mouths down to the heart, they're actually letting the heart speak. And what's the heart saying? The heart is saying, my turn. It's my turn now to speak. So what does the heart have to say? What does it understand? The heart doesn't have the complexity of the mind. But the heart knows things at a much deeper level. The heart knows what is behind my existence every moment. The mind takes all that for granted. The mind has its own agenda, its own kind of busy life. But the heart can wind it right back to the reality of this moment, every passing moment. So dhyana is when you have the heart is able to hold on to that feeling. So it's like if this is concentration, drip, 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 dhyana or absorption is more like honey dripping. So the drop never loses the connection. Still it's dripping, but the connection is never lost. So there is that, the mind has gained some sense, some feeling of what it is that I'm supposed to be connecting with. So the mind actually has gained that connection. So just like if you're on a skateboard, you know there's sometimes you have to just skate, 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 skate. It's all just skating, but then you get a chance to coast. You know, you get a chance to actually just stand on the skateboard, and the momentum is carrying you forward. So absorption is like that. That you've gained actually some connection with that consciousness. Okay, Sugade, go on.
It's almost like the feeling of being in the flow.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, just
that's right.
it's flowing naturally. And
Yeah,
sometimes I say that, at a retreat, I'm in the flow or you're in the flow. You can just feel that you, you're there. It's,
yeah, yeah.
the
That's
dripping
it.
has stopped,
Yeah,
and maybe the dripping is the that push, almost the the action uh, of trying to make it happen, and now you're into that
yeah,
now.
yeah. That's
That-
right. Like stroking the magnet. That's the action.
yeah, yeah,
But there's something is changing in the needle as you stroking it. It gets magnetized. It becomes a magnet. So that's what it's like. The action of concentration is like stroking the magnet, and the magnetization of the needle that you're stroking with the magnet, that is like absorption. So absorption in meditation is deep happiness, it's bliss. Your mind is your mindfulness is on the unconditional love that is there all the time, which is the cause of your existence. And you have a very deep identification with that. Your identity is no longer detached from that. When we introduce ourselves, we have a name. We always introduce ourselves in terms of something to do with this environment that we live in, that we relate to. We have a name, we have an address, we have activities that we do. Something that we do for a living or we do every day. All of these things describe us in terms of that external world in which we operate. But meditation is taking that I feeling and going to its source, the source of existence. And so the more that you identify directly with that source, then the more of that source is flowing into your mindfulness, and that's what you feel directly when you do meditation, and that's why you feel bliss if you do deep meditation. And it also then affects your life, your normal life out there. There's another deeper dimension to it. So you find much more meaningfulness in your everyday life, because you realize that everything is a communication between me and that consciousness that is creating me and creating everything else. And so as soon as I get up in the morning, I evoke the image of my guru, and that image or that guidance then is there the whole day. It's overarching my whole day. Yeah, so nothing of life is mundane. Everything from that point of view, from the point of view of your your deeper consciousness and your existence, everything is full of bliss. And the whole game plan of life is to wake you up to that. So even the most mundane things that you do, when you do meditation, when you really do proper meditation, and you go out and to live your life, your life becomes an extension of your meditation, because you realize that sometimes I put all the effort into my meditation and I don't seem to get anywhere with my meditation. But as soon as I walk outside, as soon as I go into my normal everyday life, then there's all kinds of magical things start happening, all kinds of revelations of that consciousness. So it's percolating. It can come from any direction, any time.
And that can also be good and bad. Could it have a good effect and bad effect, would you say, or not?
Well, I can't think of a bad effect. You obviously have something in mind. Well, bad in the sense that if you rely on, say, drinking or something like that for your you know to for your kicks, then it's bad because it'll start to interfere with your drinking. Yeah.
Well, I thought to myself, I'll go to the op shop and get a second-hand, a mattress today, and the rain just stopped, and I thought it's clearing up, and I said to the gentleman, I said, let's load it up, put it on the ute. I had no cover for it, and as soon as I hit the first roundabout, this heavy shower poured, and the bloody mattress was wet, and I thought, now, was that good luck or bad luck for me?
Well, the thing is, like, you're right to feel that everything is a conversation between you and that which is behind, this whole show. So, I'll give you an example. This is going to your well, you said it was very profound, that it could be
Yeah.
good or it could be
Like,
bad.
could I get
So
angry at the
the,
weather
the
or
reason
what?
the reason why it's bad is because when you approach life with that consciousness, with that awareness that everything is a conversation between me and that limitless consciousness, then it you have to find the meaning in everything. You have to, you understand that when things are in a flow of going very well, you can relate that to the efforts you're making. You can relate that to how you're, following your spiritual practice and all that. But when things hit road bumps and the ride is very bumpy, then you know inside, in your mind, that is a reflection of something deeper, in my spiritual life. And so I'll tell you a story. Dada Shraddhananda, he's passed on now. He was a very senior Dada in Ananda Marga. He was the Dada who, when Baba was in jail in the 70s, Baba gave a program called 16 Points. And it was to Dada Shraddhananda that he explained this whole program and told him, this is very important, you must propagate this. So 16 Points it's part of Ananda Marga's lifestyle. And we can do a class on that, actually. We should, maybe in the retreat. But I was with Dada Shraddhananda once in India, and I was going with him to some program in Calcutta. We were going from Tiljula, which is where Anandamarga's headquarters is, on the outskirts of Calcutta. And so we had to walk up to the causeway, the highway, and catch a bus. And so we were just walking along to the bus stop, and I turned around and saw there was a bus coming. It was our bus, so I ran ahead to the bus stop, and I put out my hand, and he was hurrying up as well. But as I was watching the driver of the bus, I realized that he wasn't going to stop, and he was pretending to, be distracted somewhere else. And I just looked in amazement as the bus sped past the bus stop, and he didn't stop. And so anyway, buses are coming all the time, so we just waited there. But Shadananda became very quiet. He'd been pretty chatty up to that, but now he was quiet. So we were on the bus then, and I asked him, what's the matter? You seem to have gone quiet after we missed the bus. Is there some kind of something to be learned from that? And he said, indeed there is. He said, whenever anything happens out of the, that isn't the optimum flow, then you have to reflect on your 16 points. And as soon as you start reflecting on your 16 points, you'll see something is out of alignment. Because the 16 points and these lifestyle things like 16 points, Jama and Yama, these lifestyle points of Anandamarga, what they're doing is they're configuring your energy. Everybody is an energetic configuration, and depending on how your energy is configured, you can move very effectively through this world of vibrational expression. Or if your energy is not particularly configured, then you're always being buffed about by circumstances, and you're not able to determine any direction in your life or put anything consequential together to direct you in your life. So he had it down. He understood this to such minute. He had practiced it to such a degree that the slightest thing going wrong in his day-to-day life, daily life, was an indication for him. And he immediately, as soon as he reflected on it, he immediately saw something that was out of line with his energetic configuration, and he fixed that and moved on. So that's the burden of Tantra. It's very comforting to feel that nothing is connected, everything is just randomness. That can be a comforting thought. But when you understand that it's not random, and when you develop some kind of spiritual understanding, spiritual sense, then you start to see that things, nothing is random, everything has a cause. And you may not know the cause, you may not know what the cause and effect is, but what you can determine is you can, by configuring your energy, by following the lifestyle, the 16 points, the Jama and Yama, by following these principles, you can go a long way towards determining the outcome. You can go a long way towards determining that things will go smoothly or you will always be dealing with reactions of things not going smoothly. So you don't have the scope on the cause and effect of everything. You can't see. It's such a complex system of cause and effect that it's beyond the state of a normal mind to see that. But what is within your power, what is within your scope, is to follow a lifestyle, follow a system that preempts bad results, and that sets you up for a more smooth, more successful. That you can be more successful in what you're doing. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and I guess that would definitely help your class as well. Like if you're in a good state of mind and you're calm when people are entering the room, um, they're going to feel a lot more settled when they come in
Absolutely,
than instead of,
absolutely,
yeah, if you're all over the shop.
absolutely, Sugadeva.
Yeah,
Your energy is an important
yeah,
aspect of this whole thing. Of you as a teacher, the configuration of your energy is something that, I mean, we're all energetic beings, and our first encounter with another person is on an energetic level. It's, we get a feeling, an intuition about that person.
mm.
Yeah,
I've often felt like when people have come into the space, I can often feel their anxiety when they've come in, whether they're agitated, whether they had a shitty day, or um, and how not to let that affect you and still hold your space is probably a very important lesson, um, that I would say for the teacher.
yeah, yeah. But you find that after doing the asanas, if you have
Yeah.
created a nice sentient environment, after doing the asanas already, maybe you've played nice gentle kirtan in the background. That's why you can say with confidence that you could do this after any asana session. You just say to people, just look around at everybody's face, see you know how serene. You see, you can feel the vibration of serenity from people's faces. You can see it actually.
The shift. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a question, Dada.
Hmm.
I know that your first lesson, when we're doing a meditation class, we're not teaching someone your chakra point, a particular man. We're using Bhavanam as a particular mantra, and not obviously a first lesson mantra, and we're not using the breathing technique or the uh, I guess the ideation, but the ideation is visualization we're using. Is it correct to say that the process has been diluted to
No.
some extent or not?
No. No, I wouldn't say diluted. There are different kinds of meditation, and
Yeah.
each one has its own particular benefit. Um, so I always say to people when I'm teaching meditation that because there are 6 lessons in an Andamarga meditation. So if you just tell people that there are 6 lessons and I'm teaching you the first lesson now, people will naturally think that each lesson is a progression from the previous one. It's not like that. It's not like, say, martial arts, where you start off with your white belt, and then you move through the different grades, and you end up with the black belt.
Yeah.
When you learn Bhavanam Kevalam meditation, you learn the deepest secret in the universe. There's nothing more you can add to that. That every moment of my existence is an indulgence of the same cosmic consciousness. And to put everything aside and spend some quality time with that feeling every single day, developing that identity, that understanding, that's the crucial thing. Whether you've got all 6 lessons and then all of the Vishesh Yoga lessons, that's secondary. The main thing that is you sit down and you spend quality time identifying with that which is behind my existence and developing that relationship, because it's an exercise of the heart, and the heart doesn't need too many tools. The mind is very attracted towards the idea of 6 lessons, okay. But the heart just gets it. The heart knows it, and so Bhavanam Kevalam gets you right there, gets you right into the heart space. So
it's a decent enough base for someone who wants to go further, can go further.
Yeah. So and somebody who wants to go further, they can learn that there's a process. There's a series of lessons, and it starts off with initiation, the first lesson, and it's a more resourced. There's more resources in it for withdrawing your mind and for concentration. But in saying that, your initial question was, is Bhavanam Kevalam is a more diluted version of, say, later lessons like first lesson.
First lesson, yeah.
And I just don't think that diluted is the right word. It's different. Each one is different. It's a different approach to the same thing.
Yeah. Or I guess more accessible. I guess it's more accessible to someone who has had no exposure, I guess.
It's hard to even say that, because people are so different, For some people, for sure, Bhavanam Kevalam, they get it straight away. Other people would struggle with it. As soon as they get first lesson, they feel they've got something to take them deeper. So it really, it varies from individual to individual.
So how then another question would arise for me: how important is to do, whether it's 5, 10 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes of kirtan before doing the process of meditation in the
Yeah.
class?
So Baba emphasizes the importance of kirtan. There's no doubt that doing kirtan is very meaningful, and it primes the mind. It primes the faculty of meditation. It has to do with the heart. It has to do with the intellect and the heart, but primarily it's the heart. The intellect is only there to give a little bit of guidance at the start, in the sense of understanding what I'm doing. But it's definitely, we're dealing with the inner faculties, and so we have to educate, we have to develop those inner faculties. the faculty of kirtan is an important part of the faculty of meditation. So, the word faculty, Bobby uses that word, and I like it because it's the same root as, like, say, facility, or so facility means something which facilitates something. It
Mm.
makes it easier or more accessible. So the faculty of kirtan helps us to access um, that deeper feeling.
That vastness a lot
Yeah,
easier.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It makes it's a more natural. It's a natural way of approaching it
yeah.
because you're asking your heart, you're giving your heart the chance to express what it knows. Because your heart is exposed to that all the time. Your heart is exposed to the reality of every single moment. So what you're doing when you do meditation is you're just quieting your mind down, putting your normal thoughts aside, and just going to what your heart is immersed in all the time, that reality.
Another question that just came in my mind: if you're singing kirtan and no one else is joining you, should you up the note or lower the note?
So, so you're singing kirtan and no one else is joining you. So you mean like it's
You've
it's
asked,
Dharma, it's Dharma
yeah.
chakra and everybody's there to do kirtan, and you're the only one who's singing. Everybody else is just kind of going through the motions and not singing.
No, no, I'm not saying Dhamma Chakra. I'm saying you got a meditation class
Okay,
and
yeah,
you're rounding the circle and you've explained to people that we're going to do, some kirtan and what it means and you're leading it, but no one's joining in on it. Do
yeah,
you?
yeah. I understand what you mean,
Yeah,
and I find that that's why I think the first time when I did this for people and I said migrate it to your heart, I think I was grappling with that problem that you're talking about, that nobody was singing. So I was trying to emphasize that this is a whole different experience. This is your heart. You're giving your heart your mouth to express itself, what it
right.
knows. And I had some success with that, just reminding people all the time that kirtan is connecting to your heart and singing directly what your heart knows, that every single moment of my existence is a pure indulgence of unconditional love.
Yeah. That's an interesting point that, and hopefully that can break some walls down and people can open up more because I felt myself sort of on the edge of awkwardness,
Yeah,
not knowing whether I should keep up it. Do I need to cut this short, or
yeah.
are people feeling a bit awkward here?
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. Like, if you just get into it yourself,
Yeah,
if you just say put all that aside, all of that concern about what other people, you explain it to them, and then you get into it yourself. And if nobody joins in, then next time you you want one or two people to join. It always
yeah,
happens
for
like that.
sure.
One or two people will join. They'll join a bit tentatively, and then they'll sing a bit stronger then, and then other people will join in. Nobody wants to feel that they are. People are looking around to see what other people are doing. Nobody wants to be the standout one.
I remember when you came and you did that little session at Brisbane when we had that fundraiser or in the garage. Remember we had some people there?
Oh, was that
And
the Laura Street Festival?
yeah,
Okay.
and no one was singing, and I thought I better sing as well. It was only me and you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, people have a natural inhibition, and it's something new, and so for us, it's just so familiar. It's hard
Yeah,
for us to understand how it was when we started and
yeah.
remember. Yeah.
And I think I was like that when I first started. And, I remember doing kirtan for the first time, and Dada P was telling me, you raise up your hands up in the air like you're at the footy, you know? And I thought, your team's won a goal. And then I thought it was the only, and I didn't feel comfortable raising my hands up in the air, and either putting it, towards my heart chakra. And I thought the only way I'm going to raise up my hands in the air if someone's got a gun to my back. But it does take a while.
Hmm.
It does take a while to, I don't know, just break those limitations of, and I guess too, what people are thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, but I have people here, when I do the Working Bee retreats, I've got them here for 2 weeks, and we're sitting down twice a day to do the kirtan meditation. So, people have within very short time, within a couple of days, people are already relaxed and at home, and they're singing. So it's if they're not singing, it's because the mind is just wandering. They're thinking something else and not there. But there've been some great moments when, especially when we've had people who can play musical instruments, and everybody's involved, and the kirtan is being lifted up by just by quality. You know that helps a bit too.
Mm.
Rosemary, anything to say?
I dozed off. She there? Anyone else there?
Maybe she might be taking a rest. She knows that we're recording it anyway. So Vasudev, yeah, we can we definitely organize something. I can. You think about it anyway, about who might be interested to come together for a session. It can just be one session and see how they like it, and then if they like it, then you can make it more regular.
Yeah, for sure. But you're talking about having a follow-up at Ananda Pali, like to work through
Yeah,
lessons and things. I mean, yeah,
yeah. I was thinking like for us to get
yes,
together.
yes,
That'd be
yeah.
great. Yeah, if we could do that. But we can do it. We could do it online as well. I somehow I feel it's getting so
Da-
close. It's so
Dada,
close.
I'm here.
Go on.
I'm
Yeah,
here, but I,
Rosemary.
I couldn't find the cursor to open the audio.
Okay,
I'm
I got
still
you.
here,
Okay.
but I might say namaskar now.
Okay.
Talk next week. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks
Namaskar.
for doing this. Bye bye,
Namaste.
everybody.
Bye bye.
Right. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, it would be good to do that too if we all met together, and it's really that's really I really would love that. We work together on, say, your situation, or what Sukadev's situation is like. Everybody turns their attention towards. So we focus, say, every week on a different situation. You're in a
Mm.
you're in a kind of like what is would a retirement village, would that describe what you're in, Vasudeva?
Yes, it's a retirement village, as distinct from, it's not aged care, or it's not a nursing home. Everyone's independent
Mm.
living. It's
Yeah.
just that the age demographic begins at 65 through to, 70s and maybe some 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And the facility here, there's two buildings, two towers, and there's plenty of communal space,
Mm.
um, library, and so there's no issue with finding an area to do it,
Yeah.
and there's no charge or cost to any of those sorts of
Mm.
things.
Great.
And every day here, there's something. There's some sort of like an exercise class. There's water aerobics. They do line dancing, all sorts of things. So
Mm.
I'm sure the interest would be there. It's just a
Yeah.
question of I got to get it right in terms of you got to know your audience.
Yeah. No. All you've got to do really is put a flyer out in everybody's letterbox and get them get
I
them get them to come, and then we can figure it out from there. Because I'd be happy to help to support you in that, to even be there, and
Sure, yeah.
don't have to don't necessarily have to wear orange if that would freak people out, just
No, that's fine. It's yeah, it's easy enough to communicate with everybody here
yeah,
because there's regular notes go out from like there's a management team
yeah,
resident here, and yeah, that part's it's easy. It's just I got to get my mind around. Well, hang on, how are these people likely to react? What's the best way around it? The chair yoga thing, I don't know any of
oh,
those postures, so it's a fair bit of learning for me.
you're going to have a mixed group. Some people, because
Sure.
like the basic asanas, like the cobra and the yoga mudra, the first ones that we did.
Mm.
There's some people who have who just may have retained, good health, good flexibility throughout their lives. Some of them will have done yoga,
Mm.
and they will have no problem doing these asanas on the mat. Some of
Sure.
them won't. Some of them,
Mm.
would feel much more comfortable in a chair, and they
Yep.
might have
Yep.
difficulty. If they get on the floor, then they have difficulty getting back up, and it's just not comfortable for them. So you're absolutely right to anticipate that, and
Mm.
to have that in place. That accommodation in place for them.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep.
And to work out how we can modify various asanas for them that they can get benefit out of them from doing them in a chair.
Yep. For sure. Okay.
I've got a question, Dara.
Yeah.
Because I'm sort of thinking, would this? I know it's an 8 week course, but would it be more beneficial or productive, or a better way to put it out there is a meditation class, and every week introduce one element or a topic? You think you could do it in that way, or does it have to be as a course?
Um, it's good to have options. It's good to be flexible. It's good to read the situation, and try different things. You get a sense of. I think it's good, first of all, to be competent in teaching a course,
Yeah.
a whole course, and then to have the ability to mix and match, to have the ability to read the group and understand what will be the best way forward with this group, and to have enough confidence to try something different, if that's if, I'm not I don't think necessarily that this 8 week course that we've done, that's necessarily um, what would be
They
good in,
need.
in, in
Yeah.
most situations.
Mm.
I've simply settled on that because it works for me here. I've
Yeah.
got people for 2 weeks, and we've got two classes every day, and I go through the whole, the whole of Ananda Marga basic philosophy. So this Ashtanga yoga part. Then I do the Brahma chakra, the cycle of creation. I do samskaras, life, death, and samskara. I do everything to give people a basic understanding of what yoga is about. Not a basic, but a fully expanded kind of understanding of yoga. So if you have all that at your disposal, you can you feel well resourced to craft a course if that's what you need to do, or as you're saying, to to just wing it, to say something. You might have to just reiterate every week the same thing you said last week, because it just takes a while for people to catch on. So yeah.
Yeah, because the first time, let's say you advertised it, and five people came in the first time, and then the second time there's one person there. You know.
Okay, so there is an attrition rate. If you put out 200 flyers in your local area, you should get 6 people coming. So if the class is going to be in a particular area, if you flyer that with 250, say 300 flyers, you should get 8 people to come. So that's 250 down to 8. Out of that 8 people who start, if you do everything well, you should get 5 or 6 people completing it.
I think so.
Yeah. And that's why it's good that people understand that it's a course, and that each session introduces something new.
Another question that I have for you, Dada P was saying that people value money. Like if if you do it as a free thing, then they're going to think, okay, I came this week, I won't bother coming, next week because I haven't paid, or, I'll come if I feel like it or whatever.
Yeah.
What's your idea of that?
Yeah, there's something to be said for that.
Yeah,
I hear when I do these working bee retreats, it's an exchange.
yeah, of
I'm
course.
getting 4 hours of work, and the participants are getting a retreat.
Yeah,
So there's an exchange going on. I like to sometimes feel I'm being a little bit disruptive. I I've done it. I've put a charge on it, and sometimes I don't. I can't say that I've concluded that one thing is better than the other. But I like to operate outside of the rigidity of business.
yeah, yeah,
If I can find some way to get around that kind of transactional framework of, you're giving me money and I'm giving you something in
yeah.
exchange. Meditation works very well within, alternative kind of, framings.
That I'd agree with Sukadeva about the value of things. There's an investment if someone's got to provide some money. Maybe a way around that is to suggest that it's a donation rather than an actual charge,
Yeah.
and that donation goes to AMERT or something like that. But
Or the donation goes towards running this operation. Like, the money that we charge is actually really just towards the expense of running it.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, you know, if you look out there, if you do a search for meditation yoga retreat,
Mm.
you'll see that it's usually the setting is a very upmarket setting, and you can see immediately from the venue that this is going to be expensive, and a lot of things are polished about it, but people aren't going to get the value that they get from an Andamarga, and I don't mean value for money. I mean the value in terms of the depth that
Mm. Mm.
is yoga. You know, if they're going to do meditation, it's going to be just pratyahara. It's going to be some form of withdrawing the mind and nothing more than that.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Suveda, namaskar. I didn't see you there.
Oh, I must stand that up.
Yeah, I have all of the list of people who are attending the course. They're on 3 different lists. So some of them are on email, some are on, Telegram or WhatsApp, and I only sent it to the email. I forgot to send it to the others. So you didn't get a reminder. But it's all it's recorded. I'll upload it to my channel, and it'll be available.
Daddy,
Dada,
you'll send through the notes as well, Dada, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dada, I have a question. When
Yeah.
Sukadev talks about the money in
Mm-hmm.
teaching meditation, didn't Baba charge the money when he teach meditation, when he taught meditation?
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. It's important to make that distinction that when we initiate people or when we give them lessons, we are absolutely not permitted to take money. So we charge where money comes into it is if you're running a meditation class, that's different. It's different to initiation. So you're running a series of meditation classes, and there are costs involved in that, and so it's perfectly reasonable and ethical to recover those costs from, and people expect that. In fact, people might even feel a little bit awkward not being able to contribute to the expenses.
Yeah, I think so.
So as I say, I've done it both ways, and I don't come down strongly in one way or the other, but I certainly don't. There's absolutely no reason to not charge for meditation classes, as long as people can see that you're not one of these outfits that are making big money out of it. They can see that the charge that you're charging is very reasonable.
Question I've got for you, Dada. You've presented it as a meditation course, but you've got asanas in there. Now,
No, I present it as a meditation and yoga.
so is that how we should present it, whether if we put it on social media or whatever, or what?
I strongly recommend teaching yoga asanas and meditation.
That wording it in that form, you're coming to
yoga and meditation, because you know most people don't know the distinction, yoga and asana. So you have to, when you get a chance to explain it in a class, then people will understand that actually yoga is a big philosophy, and it includes the asanas, and it includes meditation and philosophy and lifestyle and all those things. But yes, when I'm if I were making a flyer to say present this course that we're doing, I certainly would say yoga and meditation. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, another question I had, I can't quite remember whether we are supposed to teach them any pranayama techniques besides our fourth lesson or not, or we just explain it.
No, so when we're teaching Ashtanga yoga, pranayama comes up. Yes, it comes up as the fourth
Yeah.
component. So if you go back through the notes of pranayama, you can see that we're explaining the science of pranayama, and we're explaining why it's important to have some standing in meditation, to have gone some way towards focusing the mind on the object of meditation before introducing pranayama. So we explain why that's important. So
Yeah.
you read the notes for that. It's all there. Yeah. Yeah. But because anybody who's done a bit of yoga, they've come across this concept of pranayama, and many of them have learned it, in their first, in their first foray into yoga. There's outfits out there that will teach it straight up. But there are important considerations that you will get in Ananda Marga, and not in other places. And the reason why people don't feel restricted in teaching pranayama is because yoga came into the West into a commercial environment, a highly commercial environment. And so if you're running a yoga class, you're very much aware that I'm in a competitive market here. So people need to feel they got something. So you're going to introduce the headstand and rush blood to the brain, and people feel, wow, I felt something from that. Or, that's why people, they don't give proper consideration to these things. Even if it's explained to them, some of these yoga teachers who coming from different yoga styles, they find it interesting to know these things, but when it comes to teaching it, they're more guided by the commercial side of it. Okay, shall we go out on a couple of minutes kirtan?
Yep.
Kevalam Namaskar, everybody.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dada. Thank you.